Hey, what is up YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. So in today's video, I thought it would be fun to break down two of my three trades that I placed this morning. And for your viewing, I have sped it up so it's not a 25-minute video, it's actually quite shorter. In this video, I do kind of explain my thought process and what's happening as the chart's playing out and the reasoning behind my TP and my stop loss and everything else in between. What I was really trying to focus on since I came back from my break of trading has been to really detach myself from what my result is at the end of my trading session. The statement that I'm really sticking by is that my worth, my self-worth, is not determined or defined by what my P&L or the result of my trading session is. I'm much more than that, right? And so if I'm really trying to focus on the statement, I have to really make sure that no matter what happens, my emotions is in check. And to keep my emotions in check, one of the main pillars of this is to focus on my process. I know it sounds like a crazy long domino effect, but that's exactly what it is. It's a chain reaction. The more I focus on the statement, pretty much the more I'm focusing on my process. And so with my trades today, my 1 out of 3 trades, I had a loss. I do want to note that I have one chart that is going to have my 5 funded accounts being copy traded. Then I have my second chart that is going to be one individual account. And then on my other screen, I have 2 other individual accounts that are not being copy traded. So it's kind of a lot of a mix here, but essentially the trade is the same across the board for the 2 that I placed today. If you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe, and let's jump right into it. So the first thing I want to cover is my take profit levels. My actual exits, those green lines there are about 3 points above where my orange lines are on my trading view. And the reason for that is just in case if price doesn't want to flush the way I want it to flush, at least I can exit right before them. So the reason why I decided for these 2 levels is simply to fully complete the imbalance on the 5-minute time frame here for the first TP. And for the second TP, it's actually going to be the breakout level of where we had the initial push. So you'll see the tiny black candle body on the bottom side there. That top wick there, once we broke over it, we just kept pushing higher and higher with a lot of strength. And I want to just retest that one more time. That's kind of the thing that I'm into with my strategy, is just retesting certain levels. And that's why I decided to have my TP level right there. We had just pushed into around 790s, which is a huge volume node, and also where when New York opened, that was a previous consolidation area that became support. And as we broke through it, we came to retest it one more time, and we are resisting. So because we have resistance around that 790s volume node area, taking a short to retest these imbalances as well as the previous breakout made more sense to me than trying to go long. So my first trade, which is going to hit in just a few moments here, is a little over a 1-to-1. It's probably like a 1 to a 1.1 or like a 1 to a 1.25. Didn't do the math on it, but for sure I have more reward than I do risk by a few points. And then for my second trade, right now it's the same idea. It's a few more points as reward than it is risk, but still better than a 1-to-1. But as time goes on, you'll notice that my risk does eventually reduce. So it does become like a 1 to a 3 or like a 1 to 4. Didn't do the math on it, but it's really good risk to reward for my second runner as time goes on. So there it is. My TP1 is hit, and I have sped up the video because this was a like 20 to 25-minute trading session, and I didn't want you to have to sit through all of this. So yeah, I went ahead and I sped it up. So at this point, I'm kind of just, watching price do its thing, trying to calculate if it's a good idea to move my stop loss now, but also wanting to see how our next 5-minute candle is going to play out. I do focus a lot on candle structure. So I've talked about this on my YouTube live streams as it's part of my strategy. I've posted about it on my YouTube community tab and even on Twitter. And this is where I'm noticing that we're having a 1, 2, 3 setup. So my one candle is going to be that little green basing candle, and my second candle is the one that has a long wick up. My third candle is obviously the candle that we're in right now. And I wanted to note to myself in order to really make sure I'm managing my risk well here, is if we do push into 57s again, then I'll go ahead and move my stops to break even instead of where it's at right now. There is a 5-minute imbalance to the upside. So if we do end up breaking above where my stop loss is, I wouldn't feel too bad because that would just mean that we're not only breaking out of this bull flag here on the NQ and the ES, but also we have a reason to kind of target a certain area, which is that 50% of the 5 minute above. So if we hit the stop loss, at least my risk is reduced, and it would just anticipate a further move to the upside to break out of this bull flag. For this trade as well, I do want to note that because my risk is reduced, this is where I was noting how earlier it becomes like a 1 to 3, because for my one set of accounts where I have 5 funded accounts being copy traded at once, it's going to be a 3-point loss with a 23-point win. For the other set of accounts on my second trade of 8 tab here, I do have it at a 7-point loss and a 19-point win, give or take. So the risk to reward is really well. I feel good about the risk, and at least I can see clearly on both sides what's happening. If we're going to push up higher, we have a certain area to target with the bull flag. And also if we push lower, we're rejecting off of that previous support that has turned resistance, and we're just retesting where we had broken out from before. Just going to let price kind of do its thing. So if I'm silent, that's why, but that's literally what I was doing in the middle of my trading session, just letting price do its thing. I want to see this drop, base drop play out and get a retest of where we broke out before. What I found from today's trading session as well is that ES was definitely the stronger one of the two. And because of that, when ES made a nice move in a certain direction, then of course it's going to push NQ in a certain direction too. And so ES had some strength. Later in the day, you'll see that actually ES broke its previous high, whereas NQ, by the time of me doing my recording and stuff, it has not. Or at least by the time of me editing my video, it has not. So ES here is kind of hanging around the VWAP. And because it's hanging around VWAP, if it gets a nice strong push out of VWAP, I don't see why it wouldn't continue higher. And then for NQ, of course, to follow suit. But thankfully, as we watch all of this kind of play out, and as my heart is starting to race and think to myself, dang, my stop is about to get hit here, price just works in my favor. So this is where my heart is starting to race a little bit, and that's simply because I'm like, dude, it would suck if I get like ticked out of my position and then it flushes. But also I'm getting ready to note that if we break up higher, I'm gonna go for the long. But here it is, price does start to crumble and reject off of my level, my 5-minute 3-candle structure. It comes for that 5-minute breakout from earlier today, and we do end up getting the entire move to the downside. And as I'm trying to move my stop actually to break even based on my line right here, price hits my TP before I can adjust everything. And that is a wrap on today's video. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really hoped that this video was insightful to you to explain my thought process as price action was moving, and also the reasons behind my take profit and my stop loss levels. I was really proud of my management across the board, and of course there's always room for improvement, but I will take this W for today. I do mean what I said about that statement that my worth, your worth, is not determined or defined solely on what your trading P&L is, or even what your trading result is at the end of the day, because we are both worth so much more than that. As always, I appreciate your time and support. I wish you guys nothing but the best and the most success in all that you do, and I will see you all in the next video.